everyone, welcome back to Indie Comics Club, where we explore comics outside the Marvel and DC universes. Comics can be just as thought-provoking as any classic literature, and today we will be highlighting comics that deal with our world, that is to say, the problems people face on a day-to-day basis in it. First up is Surviving the City by Tasha Spillett, illustrated by Natasha Donovan. It follows two girls, Mikwon, who is Anishinaabe, and Des, who is Ininu. The two are best friends living and going to school together in a big city in Canada. However, Des decides to run away when the school social worker says she has to go to a group home after her grandmother gets too sick to care for her. Mikwon, whose mother is one of the many missing and murdered Indigenous women, panics when she learns that her friend has gone missing. The story deals very simply and straightforwardly with the terrible statistics that Native American women face. According to the statistics in the back of the book, they are 5 times more likely to be murdered than any other women. The art in this book carries a lot of the story. There's not a lot of dialogue, so you have to pay attention to facial expressions and the spaces that characters move through to fully understand the story. For example, the spirits of lost loved ones give context to the shadowy figures that follow others around, though they're never addressed directly in the story. How can Mikwon deal with the fear for her missing friend, and the memories of her mother that this brings up? Will Des ever go back home, or will the threat of a group home be worse than the danger on the streets? Danger on the Streets is a big issue in Persepolis, The Story of a Childhood by Marjane Satrapi. In this book, the author describes her life growing up during the Islamic Revolution in Iran. This book is translated from French and does have a sequel, which you'll definitely want to read. Satrapi tells about how she talked with God, trying to make sense of her family members being imprisoned or even killed. She also talks about playful rebellion in school, when the orders came that all women and girls had to wear a veil outside, and how she would wear hers wrong. Throughout the story she tells, Satrapi helps us feel both how normal life was, and yet how strange and violent it could become in an instant, and how that felt as a child. The illustrations are in black and white, in a blocky style that somehow evokes both newspaper cartoon strips and ancient relief sculptures from Persia. This style is very well suited for showing the strange juxtaposition of worlds pushing in on Satrapi as she grew up. I recommend this book because it helped me put into perspective what a violent political upheaval is really like to live through, and made me appreciate even more our continued peace. But beyond that, it's a riveting story, and Satrapi's eventual discovery as to why her family is targeted was a twist I could have never seen coming. Illegal by Owen Colfer and Andrew Donkin, illustrated by Giovanni Rigano, follows 12-year-old Ebo as he and his older brother Kwame attempt to emigrate to Europe from Ghana. The book opens by showing the two lost at sea in a lifeboat, crowded with other immigrants. The chapters jump forward and backward in time, showing how far they've traveled and how hard their journey was to even get that far, and what happens next as they drift in the boat. Immigration is an issue talked about a lot in the news, and especially those who immigrate without the proper papers. This story shows the circumstances that could force someone to make such a dangerous decision. The illustrations are beautiful, shifting between deep, cool blues in the ocean chapters and bright, washed-out colors in the desert scenes. The line work is very fine and detailed and gave me a lot to look at when I paused to digest the story. Do Ebo and Kwame make it across the sea to Europe? The only way to know is to read the book. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Indie Comics Club. Check out our YouTube channel for more awesome videos, and browse our catalog at gwinnettpl.org for all these titles and more. Happy reading!